Hey, yo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time?
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peace. You gon' see the flex when you hear these writtens. Trust me, you know the difference. I got a long ways to climb before you see a slippage. I see the process and the journey I'm supposed to be, but perplexed, cause I don't really see nobody close to me. Hopefully this ain't wasted and I know it ain't. You gotta take the time for seasoning to marinate. You need the patience and the pressure just to detonate. I'm trying to blow up and these heathens need to get it straight. Gifted with a vision and precision, I'm just trying to make it high key. Might be breaking free like I was Zion in some Nikes. Tucked at the crib, bro, you know just where to find me. Making beats and spitting crack verses pretty likely. Yeah, socks with the burst, boy, I ain't changed a bit. Normal guy till I die, you know what it is. You probably thought I'd give up now that I got some kids, but really now I got these arrows aiming at your ribs. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas. Hey, please be on the notice, these my motives. About my chicken and its rotis. You parsimonious, you take it all cause you a locust. My focus is to grow this mission. A visionary, get a dictionary. We here off the rip and we ain't sharing, we just caring. Let me speak it to the manager. We damage her, no you ain't messing with an amateur. I'm ramming, the competition, they ain't standing up. They fanning from left to right cause now they branded us. Now who that is? Mike Jones, they ain't want me now, they all on me. Got counterfeits trying to play me, I guess they thinking I'm Sony. These big head dummies showing up and out of their character. Homie, you need a price cause without it the squad ain't hearing you. Top of that, we ain't fearing yet. We swinging for the fences with the sting of a left hook that connects with Sonny Liston. I'm dismissing any and all of the disrespect. Nonetheless, it ain't a threat, I'm just letting y'all know who's next. I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the start. I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the plays. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the peas. You gon' see the...
What's next for me, Joe? I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them two bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up from my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And guys, Bitcoin battled that POC, guys, and it does look like we may be trying to lose it right now as we continue our move through this volume profile, potentially targeting the value area low, which is currently sitting at about $91,619, guys. Are we going to be able to reclaim this POC and get a move to the upside? Are we going to be able to bounce off the local levels of support? Or are we about to get a bigger drop to the downside? And it's not just $91,000 to $90,000, guys. There's some other levels that we're looking at and some liquidity sitting below that we could potentially go and take. I want to talk a little bit about the bearish case today, as we do have those obvious high time frame bearish divergences. And we're also starting to see some stuff on the 16 and 12 hour that could be foreshadowing some more bearish market cipher B signals to come on the daily time frame. So I want to cover that with you guys today. We'll take a look at the key levels of support. We'll take a look at the bullish case too. But I do have to say, guys, with the way market cipher B is looking like on the 12, 16, and daily, as well as those higher time frame bearish divergences, we got to cover those lower levels, guys, because if we hit them, I want you guys to be aware of those levels, because I always talk about, I don't want to see these lower levels, guys, but I have to bring them up in case we get the drop. And last time we did that, one of those levels was about $91,000, and Bitcoin decided to nuke all the way down to 91K that weekend. So I was happy I gave you guys the level. So we're going to cover the bullish case, the bearish case, and then I'll let you guys know which way I'm leaning, and I'll give you guys my overall thoughts on what I'm expecting and how I am playing this. Now, I did get stopped out of a scalp long position earlier today, but other than that, guys, pretty boring day for Bitcoin. We're starting to move a little bit now. Maybe we can continue this little drop to the downside, get a little bit of exciting action here on the live stream. But other than that, guys, I am still just kind of sticking to my plan from yesterday, holding my short position with profits taken, stop loss at break even. And then we were hoping for either a bigger move to the upside or downside today, but we kind of just went sideways. So I'm going to cover everything with you guys so you're fully prepared for this next move on Bitcoin. Shout out to the CandleMafia in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. We got Dawn in the chat. CJ, what is going on? Let's see, we got bada boom. We got Gordon in the chat, Tyler Durden, Rob the Crypto Snob, Captain Kirk, Crypto Billy, Crypto Anon, Chemistry Bro. You guys know who the mods are. Show them some love in the chat. We got Melissa saying the sauce in the chat. We're about to drop that sauce for you, Melissa. We got Victor say, can we check ETH? Yes, we will take a look at ETH. Is ETH dead or is ETH bottoming out, guys? That is the question. We're definitely going to take a look at Ethereum today. Shout out to Rob. Welcome in, bro. Thank you for being here, and thank you, mods, for everything you guys do here on the channel. We got B-Team Crypto. What is going on? Welcome in. B-Team says, what is up, Mafia? What is up? Shout out to B-Team. What is going on, bro? We got Stunna in the chat said, Stunna says, hey, guys, what charting app do you guys use that have all these indicators that Frankie follows? This is TradingView. If you check out the beginner series on the channel, I give you a TradingView masterclass. This is free, or at least the free version of it is free. That's pretty much all you need. Obviously, paying for the extra time frames is worth it. But check out that beginner series. I show you how to master TradingView, and I take the thousands of hours I've spent on this platform and condense it all into somewhat of a short video showing you all those tips and tricks. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Blair, said unconfirmed reports that I'm also in the chat. Shout out to Blair. We think he's here. He might not be. We're not sure. Big stunner. Shout out to Gordon. We got Lucho in the chat. Usually here to rig the giveaways, but he's just here for some sauce today. Shout out to Lucho. Wayne C. We got everybody in the chat. We got K. Digby. We got Theo, Randy. And speaking of Randy, shout out to anybody who watched our live stream on Randy's channel, Randy Hipper's channel earlier today. Shout out to you guys. That was a lot of fun. Shout out to Randy. We love Randy. Here we go again. Shout out to Tyler. Oh, no. Here we go again. Shout out to Tyler Durden. Crypto Novo says, CandleMafia is the best. Shout out to Crypto Novo. Welcome in, bro. We appreciate you. We got Top G in the chat. What color is your Bugatti? Shout out to Top G. Said, Frankie, my boy. Hey, me and Top G are on good terms, guys. Me and Top G are on good terms. Shout out to the man. But let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Straight from the UK. Shout out to Crypto Mick says, what's happening, Frankie boy? Straight from the UK. Shout out to Crypto Mick. Hopefully I didn't butcher that accent too much. Don't mean to offend you. But yeah, I'm not really that great at accents. But shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Smash that like button before we get on into the charts. If we get 1,000 likes, we will be giving away $150 in Solana on Friday's live stream. And with all that out of the way, we're going to zero. Shout out to the rising sun. More like the setting sun or the burning sun, maybe. Shout out to the rising sun says we're going to zero. Is it true? Tyler says he's offended. I'm sorry, Tyler. I'm sorry. I know you're from the UK as well. But yeah, let's see. Let's see what we got going on the charts, guys. Smash that like button, and let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Shout out to Ryan says, is it time to give up on Link? I wouldn't say so. But let's go ahead. Maybe we'll take a look at the Link chart in just a minute. So let's jump on into it. Oh, all right, let's see. Crypto Mick said, "Love that you're good, my bro." Shout out to Crypto Mick. Hey, we got the cosign from an actual UKian for the what is it called? Impression. Let's go, baby. All right, so what do we got? All hands on deck. We're going down. Shout out to Elvis. I'm calling him Elvis. Shout out to Elvis Diaz. But yeah, let's see. Time to give up on virtual. Shout out to Retro Mike Tech. I would not say so. Obviously, the altcoins are getting crushed, guys. But let's go ahead and jump on into the charts here. Now, obviously, guys, like I said, may actually, and a keyword may, do a little bit of a shorter live stream today as there's not much going on here. And to be quite honest with you guys, my plan remains exactly the same from yesterday. Now, I am still holding my short position here from the top, from the rejection off the weekly at about $102,000. This is still kind of just running here as we took that short in the premium Discord. Got that alert in there now we don't run a signals group at all, but I did enter this pretty aggressively, just kind of letting the Discord know, like, hey guys, I'm taking a short here. I actually didn't really have too much confidence in this, to be quite honest. But it did actually wind up playing out in our favor. I mean, I never questioned it, guys. I never questioned it. It was a high probability trade from the beginning. I'm just kidding, guys. I actually was a little bit sussed out on this trade, but it did wind up playing out very nicely. And we were looking, obviously, for a drop down to some local Fibonacci levels. And then if we were able to continue that downtrend, we were going to be targeting that POC sitting at 97.4, which obviously we have come down to. And this is pretty much where we were yesterday, guys. Unfortunately, you can see here at about 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday, we were sitting right at these prices at the POC. And we know that POC acts as a magnet. So once you get down there, sometimes you can get back above it. You bing bong around, you come back below it, you get back above it. Because this POC does act as a magnet for price. And typically when we do mess around with these, sometimes you can kind of stick around there for a little bit before finally picking a direction. But for at face value, I will say here, guys, we did front run that value area high, which I'll be honest, right? Like, if we came up here and tapped that value area high with the confirmations that we saw to take this short position in the premium, I would be much more confident in a drop down here. And I am still pretty confident in a drop to the downside, and I'll talk to you guys exactly why. But if we did tap that value area high, it would be a very, very clear volume profile trade to get that short, drop it down to the POC, lose that POC, and eventually look for that drop down to the value area low. And we're going to be talking a lot about this level today, guys, because there is potentially a lot of reasons to come down to this zone. And it doesn't just have to do with the charts. It also has has to do with where that liquidity is lying in the market. So, for the most part, just look to hold this down to the POC. I am going to continue to hold this position, guys. The next major target, again, based off the volume profile, we lose that POC. We're going to look for that journey down to the value area low. So we'll see. Maybe we could get this for a full rotation of the profile, but it is a little bit sketchy or a little bit suspicious because we didn't really tap that value area high, which obviously I do like to see, right? Tap that value area high. That's where we look for the rotation back into the range and the full drop down to the POC and the value area low. But, we do have some local levels in here. Again, we looked at these yesterday. We do have some local Fibonacci retracements, or not local, but really from the full low here all the way up to the high. Technically, this golden pocket and 786 Fibonacci retracement are the next levels to the downside. Again, based off the volume profile, you lose the POC. Very high chance that we can get down to that value area low. But if we're looking at all the levels here, we do have that golden pocket 786. Golden pocket sitting between about $95,450. 786 sitting at about $93,495. Now, could we come down here, put in a higher low, and then continue our trend to the upside? Potentially. The one thing I really don't love about these levels, guys, is there's really no confluence here, right? We don't have any daily levels. We don't have any weekly levels. We don't have any naked points of controls. We really don't have too much confluence here. It's not like we have any anchored VWAPs. And as you guys know, when it comes to setting your trap in the market to look for trades, obviously, you want to find the highest probability areas where you're likely to get a bounce, which are typically areas where you might have a golden pocket, daily, weekly, all put together in one spot, giving you that kind of plethora of support to get a bounce off of. Now, it doesn't mean we cannot bounce off here and continue up. No, obviously not. Anything can happen, but, for what it's worth, I really do like to see a little bit more confluence on these zones, and we just simply don't have that now. So again, that could potentially, even if we do get a bounce here, and again, I'm going to take a look at the higher time frames on Market Cypher B, and I am not going to be surprised if we see the continuation down, to be quite honest with you guys. There's a reason I am continuing to hold this short. So again, these are kind of like the last ditch efforts to put in the higher low and get that bounce to the upside. Just like when we look for lower highs, we know those lower highs are likely to come in at golden pocket 786s. It's the same thing for the higher lows on the way to the downside. If you're looking for the continuation, of a trend, you're looking for those higher lows. We know it's likely to come in at that golden pocket 786. But take it for what it's worth. Not a ton of confluence here. So if we do come down and we don't hold these guys, obviously that next major target is going to be $91,000. And not only do we not have a lot of confluence on these levels, but we also, if we come up to the daily time frame here, guys, I'm not even going to come right to the daily. I want to take a look at the 16-hour because starting to see something on that 16-hour, guys, that may be ready to leak into that daily time frame. We're starting to see our 16-hour money flow crossover into the red, which is obviously a bearish sign and does give us the anticipation of a continued downtrend. Now, is this $110,000 going to be a pretty significant local top for Bitcoin? I do think it's on the table, guys. We talked about this on Randy's live stream. By the way, guys, go sub to Randy's channel if you are not already. She is so close to getting into that $20,000 subscriber zone, and she's trying to do it by Valentine's Day. So go help our girl out and go subscribe to her channel, guys. She's got amazing content, and she does cover She does cover a lot of stuff that we don't look at, so it's a nice supplement to our channel. But yeah, the 92K long, shout out to Ali. Yes, let me continue on this, and I'll talk to you guys about the next major levels, which obviously, if you guys watch the channel, value area high, value area low, going to be those big levels I'm looking at. However, 16-hour money flow crossover into the red, not the best look for our overall downtrend, right? If we look at our last significant 16-hour money flow crossovers, obviously you can see here, and I'll be honest, guys, this is kind of somewhat similar to what we're seeing happen here. Now, I don't think, and I hope not, that we're not going to consolidate here for 6 months or 7 months like we did back here. But I will say, the price action just in general is not super different, right? We came up, we got a big leg to the upside, we start to consolidate, we kind of have this, obviously going to have to shrink this down just a little bit. Obviously, this is not something I'm going to be making decisions off of, but it is just very interesting, right? We do have some kind of a similar situation happening here. Let me make this a little bit less solid here so we can kind of see what's going on behind the bars here. So obviously, right, this is somewhat similar, right? Not going to be exactly, but we get that big leg up, right? We kind of top out here, get a pull back down to the bottom of the range. We get a ride back up to the top of range, deviation, back down to the low. And then we, back here, we lost the range and we got down, we got a little bit of a bigger dip to the downside. And again, I'm not looking at this it's not likely going to play out just like this if we lose the lows. But, potentially, why do I bring this up? Well, very simply put, you can see on that big drop to the downside, what did we have happen here? We did have that 16-hour money flow crossover over into the red. And what does that make us anticipate? It makes us anticipate those lackluster pumps to the upside, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? So you just continue that overall downtrend as your money flow is crossing over into the red, which is obviously going to be a bit more of a bearish sign. And you guys know one of those other pretty bearish signals that we were looking at on the daily was that money flow coming out. And as we know, those lower time frames do typically give the signal a little bit sooner. So as we see that 16-hour money flow cross over into the red, are we going to see that leak on into the daily here? Could potentially be the case, which would also make us anticipate the continuation down. And it is kind of eerie, like when you line this up, how well this reacts with the levels that we have on the chart right now, right? Like money flow crossover into the red, continuation down, lower high, lower low, into our golden pocket, back up to the range, back down to the 786, back to the POC, right? And again, I'm not expecting this to be the case, right? But then it is kind of weird, right? Like you get rejection off the value area low, you get back in, POC, value area low, back up to the high, flip the POC to support, and then you get the big breakout. Again, not expecting that to be the case, but it is just interesting, right? Because like back here when we lost that range, when we started to lose that range, it was based off of or accompanied by that 16-hour money flow crossover here, as well as right over here as well, right? We turned into the red, put in a lower high, continued down. So I am just being a little bit cautious here, guys. From what I just talked about on all this money flow, especially potentially looking for it to leak into the daily, it is going to be, somewhat possible to get below that POC, put in lower highs, and continue down to our value area low. Now, not only is this a key level, guys, because we have our value area low there, but if we go ahead and let me see if I can pull this up real quick. If we pull up the liquidation heat maps real quick, where we at? Let me just make this full screen. I do have the fan going here, guys, so hopefully nothing overheats and kicks us. Hopefully we don't get the stream canceled here. But you guys can see here, significant liquidity sitting below about $88,000. Now, obviously, this is basically sitting below our macro volume profile, right? This is that overall range that we're looking at, and you can see all that liquidity living below that range. And if we pull that back up on TradingView, you can see 91,000, right under this range, 88K, guys. There is a ton of liquidity. Not only sitting below this low, right? Sitting below this range. But also, if we were able to continue wiggling our way to the downside here and we start cracking below the $85,212 range low, we have even more liquidity marked out by this box here. Right here, you guys can see that box. There is a ton of liquidity down there as well. And the reason I bring this up is, again, we have some intermediary levels. We have the daily level sitting, the, oh my God, please bounce here level, the 87,347. So, these are levels that we can look at, right? If we come down to that value area low, obviously we will be looking for longs. There's no guarantee that we're going to come take all that liquidity. However, it's an if this, then that statement. If we make it down to that value area low, we will be looking for longs in the premium Discord with those confirmations. And, but if we do start breaking down, just understand, guys, like all below here is a ton of liquidity. So if we start peaking down, you could get that liquidation event giving you that fast drop to the downside towards that daily level. And if that daily level doesn't hold up and we work our way down to the overall range low at $85,212, all this liquidity can give us even more liquidations. So pretty much what I'm getting at here, guys, is, if we start breaking below this range, we are for sure in a very, very sketchy situation, because all those liquidations could be fuel for a massive move down, not only below 88K into the daily, but also through this entire range into our golden pocket, where we also have some other confluent levels of support. We have 2 daily naked points of controls down here, but all that liquidity could give us an aggressive wick. And you don't have to look back that far to see how aggressive those liquidation wicks get, because we just got one. You see the headlines, $2 billion, whatever it is, in liquidations. And it's usually given by these, giant liquidation wicks. And if you can understand where that liquidity lies in the market, you could find this stuff before price comes down to that level. That way, you could either look for trades based off that liquidity getting swept, or you could potentially even just anticipate that drop so you understand what is happening, right? Down here, you could be like, hey, we have a lot of liquidity below, and that big liquidation wick is all those longs getting wrecked, and we know we have key support down here. That way, you're not looking at the market like, oh my God, whales are selling, the bull market's over, oh my God, what's happening? This is basically just a leverage flush. And if we come down here, we are definitely at risk of seeing another one of those massive flushes. And a clean way to look at this, guys. And again, we're not just saying this, right? We're talking about the actual heat map. We're looking at the liquidity in the market, and we're seeing it there. And again, typically when I'm looking for those liquidity sweeps, right, we're looking for these big wicks that we have on the chart, which we obviously do have. So Could see that happen. So be very careful if we start getting below that range. But another way to look at this, guys, more of a little bit of a simpler way to look at this is to look at this from a volume profile perspective, right? Obviously, we know all those liquidations are sitting there, but if I go ahead and hide the TA here, guys, you can see once we start losing these lows, right? You have a massive, massive volume gap. And we know that price typically moves very, very fast through these low volume gaps. Price sticks to the high volume nodes. If you're, what the heck is a high volume node, Frankie Candles? The high volume nodes are just these big spikes in volume, right? Price likes to stick to these levels. These act as magnets for price. And when you fall into these bigger low volume gaps, typically we see very fast moves to the downside. There's no support up there holding you up. And I always say this as an easy way to remember it, right? When you have a quick move up, oftentimes that creates a big low volume gap. So on the way back down, I'm actually going to hide all the TA here so I can actually draw on the chart. If we did work our way down there, right, you have this pretty clear low volume gap, and the next significant high volume node is really not coming in until about $80,000. So not only do we know we have all that liquidity below 88K and below 85K, right? Not only is there a ton of liquidity here, right? But which again, not only acts as a magnet for price, but also gives you those fast moves through the level, right? Because all these stop losses that get hit, all these long stop losses, just for a quick explainer for anybody who does not know what we're talking about here, anybody who's long here, there's a lot of stop losses, and all these people longing up through this big move up, right? All their stop losses are going to be living below, right? If you're longing down here, right? If you're long here, your stop loss is going to be somewhere below. If you're longing any higher up, your stop loss is going to be below, going to be below, going to be below. And then you got a ton of people that are longing this range, and their stop losses and liquidation levels are all living, it's impossible to find the exact levels, but all those stop losses and everything are all living down here, right? So when you get stopped out of a long position or liquidated out of a long position, it creates a market sell, right? So that's what gives you that fuel to the downside, and that's what gives you those big liquidation wicks. That's why they happen so violently, because once you start that cascade of those longs getting stopped out, all those market sells start to come into the market, and that's what gives you that big push down. Quote unquote, a long squeeze, right? Or a short squeeze in the opposite direction. So knowing all that liquidity is there and just identifying this on the volume profile, saying, hey, big old volume gap, quick move up, quick move, potentially we break back in here, could be a quick move down, would make a decent amount of sense in my own personal opinion. And then if we do wind up pulling up our main range once again, you can see here, all those liquidations are now marked off on the chart, and we do have the support at the end of that volume gap, which is obviously sitting, this whole support range, right? This is the blue box is the support range, right? The white box here is the beginning of the liquidity. So if we did work our way down there, could get a quick move down. Maybe we get a little support on the daily. Obviously, we have to assess the situation as we approach. Maybe we catch a long position there. Maybe that's the bottom. There's no way to tell right now. We have to wait for price to come and interact with these levels. But we lose that daily, you could see that next liquidation wick. And again, quick move up. Could be that quick move down, and again, that is in line with our low volume gap, with that next spike in volume coming in at the bottom of our support range, sitting right on that daily naked point of control, which is at about $80,000, right? So I unhide those daily naked points of controls. You see that DMPOC is sitting right there on that high volume node. So it just all lines up, right? It doesn't guarantee that it's going to happen, but if we do wind up getting down there, I want you guys to be prepared, right? If we start losing this daily and things start to absolutely dump, it's still going to be scary, right? Cat's out of the bag. You're still going to be scared, right? It's still going to be like, oh my God, is this the end of the bull market? But just so you could actually understand what's happening, at least you have an idea. You're like, hey, if we lose this level, I know why we're nuking, right? There's no volume below. We have the quick move up leading to a quick move down. We have all those longs getting wrecked. And again, is that bear market? Obviously, as we've been saying forever now, if we did get that drop down to this level, guys, this is a potential area. If we get one last shakeout in the market, this could be the higher low to make on the higher time frames for a massive rip up to higher prices. Now, hopefully, I'll say this, guys. Frankie, you're so dang bearish. Why? Again, this would not necessarily mean the end of the bear market for me. If we come down here and don't bounce, could 110K be the top forever? Maybe, right? I don't really fall in that camp just yet. But, this is... is it possible to get down there, guys? I have to take the TA at face value. Daily money flow coming out. You'd have to bank on this faking out. Could it fake out? Yes, but you have to trade against the TA, which is not what I'm willing to do. And again, now that we're seeing the 12 and 16-hour money flow start to come out, remember, the money flow indicates the overall trend, guys. It's not an instant signal, right? It's not that just because we're crossing over into the red, we're about to jump down to this level right now. But, over time, it is going to make us anticipate that longer-term trend to the downside, right? So maybe you get little bounces, right? And, more often than not, you do see that continuation down. And that's the next major key level that I'll be looking at, right? But luckily, we still have some chances to bounce before we get there, right? Like I said, if we cannot reclaim this POC, which I'm sure will happen because I just got stopped out of that long, so we probably will just launch out of there just so the market can spit in my face once or twice a week. But if we can't reclaim that POC and we see that drop down, obviously value area low at 91.6 is the next major level of support. We do have a spider line in confluence with that zone. Let me see if I can pull it up. Where's those spider lines? Bada boom, right? Whoops, that's not it. It's a Heikinashi spider line, right? So we have the spider line down here as well. So you do have some confluence down here. To be honest, it's not really the strongest confluence. But you do have, that's just in general based off our volume profiles. We look to come to the low, then we look for long confirmations to go back to the POC and back up to the high. So, I'm trading that plan. I had the plans trade. I had the trades planned, and I'm trading the plan, right? Short from the top. See if we can get down to that value area low. Again, we could see some turbulence here, but if we work down there, that's the next place I'm looking for major long positions. And if we scoot down there and start liquidating everybody, that short will continue to pay us out in a very big way. And we could just reassess the situation at these next key levels of support. And then we also have the honorable mentions here. Again, not a lot of confluence on these levels, but, these are definitely something that I'm going to be looking at as price comes down to them is the golden pocket 786 retracement, sitting down here between about, 95.4 all the way down to 93.458. So there you go. That's what we're looking at. Other than that, guys, Bitcoin was kind of boring today, right? Bitcoin just kind of went sideways. This is where we were live yesterday, sitting right here, and now we're basically sitting in the exact same spot. So that's what I'm looking at, guys. Daily money flow coming into the right. Yikes, right? Unless we get that VWAP to come up, maybe it gives us a little push to the upside. But again, money flow is going to make you anticipate those lower highs and continuations down. I don't want to overcomplicate things here. Money flow is bearish on a lot of time frames here, right? Like even if you come on over to the 4 hour money flows in the red, we don't have any significant bullish divergences or anything like that. 45-minute money flow was kind of what we were looking at yesterday in hopes to potentially reclaim the POC with our 12-hour green dot. And what happened, right? We had the money flow come into the green and we just yoinked back into the red. I would probably lean, unless we get some kind of massive rip to the upside here, I would kind of lean towards losing that POC and potentially looking towards that value area low. If we reclaim the POC, obviously my plan remains the same as yesterday. Flip above that POCs. If we get a big move up, obviously the value area high 786 zone up here is that next major key level of resistance where we will simply be trading the range. And I'll be honest, guys, like the only reason I looked to take a scalp long down here earlier today is because technically, based off the laws of the volume profile, you guys know how it goes. Value area low, POC, flip the POC, go to the value area high. But we front ran the value area high here. So maybe we front run the value area high, flip the POC, right? And again, this is a little sketchy because we've been hanging out here for so long. But maybe if we could reclaim that POC, we would finally see that full rotation. And this will be a long and really sketchy journey to the value area high. But technically, value area low, POC, didn't hit the high. Maybe we come hit the high after this little drop to the downside. And this was also confluent with an area where we could put in higher lows, right, on the golden pocket 786. So, we reclaim the PLC, maybe we get the move up. But again, money flow would indicate that lower highs and lower lows are going to be the more probable situation, right? Not guaranteed. We're not going to get it right 100% of the time based off TA. But that zone that I would be looking at locally, right? We're kind of in a weird situation, guys, because we front ran that value area high. But, these are kind of the levels, right? Flip that POC. If we're going to put in another lower high, this might be the place to do it, or maybe even this local. We kind of already hit that, though. But yeah. We have Spider Line, Golden Pocket 786 up here. Maybe this is an area I'm interested in potentially looking to add to my short if I get the confirmations. But other than that, I like to keep it simple, guys. I am sitting and waiting for either the bigger level to the upside to get hit, same as yesterday, or the bigger levels to the downside to get hit for my next major trade. And again, obviously, did I show the trade? I don't think I showed the trade here. Obviously, I'm still holding the short from yesterday, up about $1,900. I have about $700 locked in on this over on Blowfin. So yeah, still holding this short. If we continue down, it continues to pay us out in a big way. If we get stopped out, obviously my stop loss is in profit here with profits already taken. So I get stopped out for about $1,000. So not too bad, right? So we'll still make money if we lose the trade, and then we'll just look for that next short position. And if we get the bigger drop down, that short continues to pay us out, and we can look for the next long position when we get the confirmation. So right now, it's kind of not as cushy as being in a long and a short. Again, I did take that scalp long just before I got stopped out of it, right? We don't win every single trade, right? But that's kind of, just kind of a sitting and waiting game, guys. Today was very boring. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Kmart brand shoes. Says, y'all realize that Frankie loads up on shorts when he's going live? Because no coffee break. Shout out to Kmart. Yeah, it really depends. Like, more often than not, guys, when I walk away from the chart, price will move. It's actually pretty hilarious. This is like a real thing, right? I don't think I'm actually controlling the price, but there is 100% a correlation since I've been tracking it. When I walk away, the percentage that price moves is infinitely bigger than when I'm sitting at the charts. It's pretty wild. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. All right, so yeah, let's take a look at Ethereum real quick, guys. Bada boom, bada bing. All right, yeah, so taking a look at Blowfin here. I mean, Blowfin. Why did I say Blowfin? Taking a look at Ethereum here. Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing, right? I mean, I guess we're getting like a little low time frame pump here. Not really. Kind of just going sideways, to be honest. Again, just kind of a boring day here today, guys. We got that massive volatility, and now we're kind of just settling down, which is nice, right? It's kind of nice to see the markets kind of, make some structure here so we can identify what exactly is going on. But for the most part, guys, like, same thing, right? Like, Ethereum's in that same exact spot that we were yesterday. Now, we do have the 90-minute money flow coming up somewhat nicely, right? And we take a look at the daily here. We are looking to print that green dot on the daily. So, that is kind of your bullish case here for Ethereum. But again, your money flow is in the red. So any bounces to the upside right now have to be looked at as somewhat lackluster to put in a lower high and then continue another drop to the downside, right? Until we get proven otherwise, right? Maybe if we get the bounce to the upside, maybe we can get that money flow to kind of freak back out into the green. Oh no. What just happened? I think I just froze for a second, guys. But yeah, if we do get that bounce, you got to watch that money flow. If it comes back into the green, then sure, maybe you can get the fake out. But as of right now, I would have to be looking at this. Why is my mouse bugging out right now? Don't even have a low battery. Looking for potential lackluster retracements to the upside to put in lower highs and continue back to the downside, where we have our next key level of support, being the major volume profile that we have down below, right? Obviously, we have the value area high sitting at 2687, POC sitting at 2623, and then once we lose that, we can look down here towards our golden pocket 786 confluence, or golden pocket value area low confluence with that 786 sitting just underneath. So if we do wiggle our way back down in here, get that move down here, this could be that next major level of support. Kind of hard to say here. Money flow would call for something like this. And, Frankie Candles really wants something like that. Nobody wants Ethereum to continue down, but we do have this massive wick. Sometimes they say, where it wicks, it sticks. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And one thing, that I don't necessarily love here is that we did front run this little wick down here by just a tiny bit on that massive liquidation that we saw the other day. Front ran that wick, guys. So if we do come down, we do still probably have some liquidity sitting below, but those are the next levels I'm looking at on Ethereum to the downside. If we lose the value area high to 2687, that's where you're at risk of potentially losing the POC and coming back down to the low. But right now, you're just kind of in between your volume profiles, right? You're kind of forming this symmetrical triangle. So if you break up, key level of resistance remains exactly the same between $29.28 and $3,000 in confluence with that value area low. Flip above that value area low, 786 sits at 31.50, and then once you get above that level, you could potentially look to work your way back up towards the daily at $3,300. Flip that daily, look to go up to the POC, and then we can once again say, hey, maybe we're now accepted. Once you get above that value area low, you could say, hey, maybe we're getting accepted back into this range. All we got to do is break that 786, and then that's where I would kind of expect the grind up towards that POC into the value area high and potentially beyond. But those are still the key levels, the same exact ones that we were looking at yesterday, guys. Let's see here. Say it with me. Sui says, good news, we don't get a pump, and bad news, we get a huge dump. Market just wants to dump, and way too many coins now to support the liquidity. Yes, say it with me. I would agree with you. There is obviously, we talked about this on Randy's show earlier today. The meme coins really sucked a lot of the liquidity out of the genuine utility coins that we all know and love. Obviously, I've been underperforming pretty heavily, especially Ethereum, underperforming for quite some time here, and I do think that's because the Solana meme coins have been kind of just pulling the liquidity out of the utility coins. Now, I do think that will shuffle back in at some point, hopefully. But, I always say, right, every time a cycle goes by, every cycle is different, right? But every time a cycle goes by, the chance of that cycle being totally different gets higher and higher. So I'm never one of those people that say this time is different, this time is different. As a matter of fact, I would say every time is different. I just don't say this time is different and then go all in on that plan, right? Because you want the statistical probability, right? History doesn't always repeat itself, but it rhymes. That's like a perfect kind of way to look at it. So yeah, we'll see. Are we just not going to get the alt season? To be honest, guys, we look at Bitcoin dominance. Bada boom, Bitcoin dominance. Obviously, we saw this thing rip to the upside. But at the end of the day, guys, we never really saw this, absolute dump to the downside for the Bitcoin dominance, right? In my opinion, right, if this cycle is going to at least rhyme with the previous cycles, it's pretty likely that we're going to see something like that happen. Now, calling when that will happen is a little bit difficult, right? We have this next key level up here on the Bitcoin dominance at, about 66.19%. This is the next major level of resistance for the Bitcoin dominance. If we get the big, that'd be the next big place to look for a rejection. The first level we were looking at was this golden pocket. We got it. Some of the altcoins went nuts. It was nice. We thought it was going to be alt season, and then we just wound up coming back up, and the altcoin stopped ripping. Lots of them underperformed. And now we're in the situation we're in right now where a lot of the altcoins are hurting pretty bad. So if this Bitcoin dominance continues up to this level, I think this is the next highest probability area to be looking for something like what we had back here, where we had that big drop to the downside. So this is going to be that next key level. It used to be this one. We got the drop. We got the altcoin pump. But if we do get up here, right, that's going to be the next highest probability area to see something like that happen, unless we just, reject from the middle of this retracement zone and we just come down from where we are. But we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on this as price action develops, not just today, but obviously over time. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, we just haven't seen it. We just, in my opinion, it would be very, very weird to see the Bitcoin dominance just absolutely plummet, or not to see the Bitcoin dominance not absolutely plummet and give us some kind of an alt season. So we'll have to see what happens. It's really, really hard to put a timing on that. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's check it on chat here. It's his POV of the simulation. Shout out to P-Dub. Shout out to JB, says he sent a super chat. I did not see the super chat. 50K in a month. I'll be honest, there is an argument for that. I don't know about in a month. That's a little harder to call, but 50K, I mean, I'll talk about the road to 50K if you want me to. Let's see. Shout out to JB, says, and first off, shout out to Jesse. Thank you for the super chat. He says, here we go. Shout out to Jesse and all the goats out there. And he said smash that like button. So don't forget to smash that like button, guys. We're going for 1,000 likes. Please, for the love of God, help out the channel. It's the easiest and most free way to help our channel out. Smash that like button if you appreciate this free value that we're giving. Shout out to JB, says, Frankie, I say thank you for the super chat. He says, Frankie, if memory serves me, didn't we go to all-time highs and then crash 50% and then come all the way back up last bull run? Shout out to JB. I'm glad you said that, bro. And shout out to Abdo. I appreciate the super chat. He didn't say anything, but I appreciate that super tip, I guess we'll call it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you, and I will talk about that, right? Because, yes, obviously, yes, last cycle we did wind up coming up, getting our first big top here to come in about April. We got that about 55% drop to the downside before coming back up. Now, to me personally, I see this as the all-time high, right? This is the genuine all-time high. This is where all the euphoria was. Search term analytics, Coinbase being number one in the App Store. Like, this was really the sentiment and price sentiment all-time high. And then this was more of like a dead cat bounce for a liquidity sweep before going back down into that bear market. Now, does that mean that we're definitely going to see something like that happen now? Not necessarily, but, we've seen, we talk about this all the time. Like, you see these dumps in the market of, 33, 38, I missed that wick a little bit, 40%, right? So you do get these bigger corrections in bull markets. But to me, this was the really the all-time high, and then a dead cat bounce liquidity sweep for the drop back to the downside. But I will say this, this is why it's very, very hard, right? Because, I said if Ethereum does not make new all-time highs this cycle, right, we go into a full bear market and Ethereum doesn't make a new all-time high, I'll shave my head and I'll shave my beard. This gets really hard, right? Because if we dump down to 80, 75K and we start wiggling around here, people are going to think we're in the bear market where, could we be? Yes. But at the end of the day, right, you could get one of these like unexpected rips to the downside before getting that next push up. So, you have to understand that I've been in this market for a long time, guys, and these cycles are not typically easy to call, right? So, we could get some kind of freak out here, right? And everybody thinks like, oh, we're dead. Everything is down. Everything is in the dumps. We're in a bear market. It's all over. But at the end of the day, right, like we could potentially see a black swan event bring us into like a temporary bear market where everyone thinks it's over, right? Similar to what happened back here, right? Big flash dump to the downside. Everyone's like, oh my God. And listen, I don't blame anybody for selling there because this was a very real thing, right? This was not like some rumor or anything. This was like a real thing that happened. But what happened, right? Like you probably would have sold at the worst time before the bull market started. So it's really hard, right? Because like even if we do come down to say 80K or even come down and retest the 786 closer to 75, 76K, this is going to feel like a bear market. But at the end of the day, like you could, and then there's like you go sideways for a few weeks, right? And it gets really, really, really sketchy. And then all of a sudden, right, it's not until price actually starts pumping where people are like, oh, bull market's back on. No problems. I wasn't worried. You were worried. I wasn't worried, right? So it gets really, really hard to call. Like, does the 50% dump here mean that we could see a 50% dump here? I mean, maybe. I'll be honest, like in a healthy bull market, like I said, I really do classify this as the actual top of this 2021 bull run. But, traditionally, right, that 50% dump is not something that we really typically see, right? Like when I say 30 to 35% dumps in a bull market are common, I mean they're pretty common, right? Dump, right? And then you just wind up continuing to the upside. Even on the way up in 2021, we had some pretty decent dumps to the downside, dump to the downside, dump to the downside, dump to the downside on our way to all-time highs. I wouldn't classify this as like a healthy bull market correction, right? This was probably manipulation, if I'm being honest. You get the dump down, and then this was like a liquidity sweep before going into the bear market. So, a 50% dump is, kind of where I start to think like, hey, this is not typically what we see in bull markets. A little bit suspicious. And you guys know where I stand on that, obviously, if we pull up the TA here, right? Like, let me turn off some of this. Let me turn off the daily naked points of controls, the dailies, and I will also turn off the spider lines here. Like this, right, from the high to the right? Like if we get that dump down here, let's say to the golden pocket, 24, 25, even 30%, like is not out of the question for a bull market, right? So again, playing with the 786 does get a little bit sketchy in my opinion. But this does get, somewhat, this is technically healthy. We've seen this before. But once we start losing it, right, you start seeing 40%, 45%. It starts to get a little bit sketchy. That's not typically what we see as a healthy bull market correction. But again, at the end of the day, who's to say that it's not going to be something like this, right? Where you get the fake out to the downside. Maybe you're not going to go into massive all-time highs, but you do revisit the highs and slightly put in that numerical all-time high again. So it is really hard, guys, right? Like there's no way to call this move for move, which is why we are level-to-level traders making money whether the price goes up or down, right? We're shorting it, we're longing it, we're catching all the moves. But again, for the long-term bags here, like, I wouldn't be upset about this. I'd be a little bit sketched out here, and then we start breaking into this volume profile that we have down below, right? That's really, we start losing and getting accepted back into this range. That's where I'm calling for a much bigger move down on Bitcoin. Because at that point, right, you get accepted into that range from the all-time high, you get back down to the bottom of that range. That's a 50% correction, and this actually gets back to, I forgot who said it. Somebody said 50K in a month. That would be pretty crazy. We need some kind of crazy black swan. And listen, could we get a black swan? Maybe. But I will say this. If we're going to see something like we saw in 2021 and get a rejection back down into this lower profile, fill the range in full down to the value area low, that brings you into the lower 50s, right? That brings you into like the lower 50,000. So, and again, like in my opinion, that like negates the healthy pullback, right? That's not typically what we see as a healthy pullback, right? This was, in my opinion, not a healthy pullback, right? We didn't pull back in a healthy way and then go off into new all-time highs, right? It was a pullback and then a dead cat bounce, a liquidity sweep, and a drop to the downside. So you start getting into that 50% range. I don't classify that as a healthy pullback, right? For the reasons I just explained on the 2021 top. So, but again, does that mean that we can't, dump down here, hit 50K, and then go back up to all-time highs and, double top and come back down like we did in 2021? Maybe, right? It's impossible to call. Could we come down there and potentially see the first 50% correction in a bull market and then see the massive rip up to all-time highs? Maybe. Anything can happen, but that's why I always say we have to assess the situation as price action develops. If we get down here, we see the bullish confirmations, we're going to say, hey, this is a healthy level of support. We're seeing the confirmations. Nice chance of a bounce here, but technically, I mean, even if we pull this fib here, like from the low of our previous range up to the high, I mean, it only brings us down, golden pocket sitting here at 72K. At the end of the day, like this is really, really, really like, I'll be honest, like if we lose this local 786, in my personal opinion, let me come on down to the daily so I can get the actual pull here, right? The 786 comes in at about, 75K. that's really where the suspicious zone, that's really where it's like, okay, you're going to bounce now, right? Please bounce, because if we don't bounce here, sure, you have confluence on your golden pocket and this structure that we have here, this like just structural support that we have here. You do have, maybe you come back down, retest these range highs, and this would technically, from the overall swing low to the swing high, be your golden pocket retracement. Now, percentage-wise, this would be a 36% correction. So that would be something that we've seen in bull markets, right? We see those big flash crashes, wash out all the leverage. Like I said, a lot of people FOMO longing here on this big move to the upside. So, wouldn't be surprising to see all that leverage washed out if people are still holding their positions into that golden pocket. And that would still be technically a healthy correction. But it's really once you start breaking into like the 40% zone where it's like, hey, we don't really typically see those in bull markets unless it's going to be some kind of a fluke here. But again, this wasn't like we got the 50% pullback, put in a higher low, and then yoinked off into all-time highs, right? We barely swept the highs and came down. So this does look pretty manipulation-y to me. So that's my 2 cents on kind of what I would expect as Bitcoin gets the continuation to the downside here locally. But that's kind of where I stand there, guys. Any bullish scenario, I mean, I'll be honest, if we hold the local volume, local 786, our golden pocket at about 80 to 82K, right? Like, this would be a bullish case, right? Like, you do have to zoom out, right, in this market, guys. Like, this is crypto. Dumps happen, right? Like, pullbacks happen. And again, this wouldn't even really be that scary, right? This would just be a local golden pocket retracement before a pullback to the upside. This is like where you would be looking for a higher low to come in before a yoink back off to higher prices, right? So this is technically a bullish case. It's just shorter term bearish. But in the grand scheme of the cycle, right, this is kind of a bullish case, right? We're just going to come in, put a higher low in, and continue up to the higher prices, right? And really, it's only the people that came in to buy the top here that are really going to feel that pain on the way down. The people who are over leveraged, the people who bought too late, or bought somewhat late. Those are the people who are going to feel the pain. But like in the grand scheme of like this overall macro uptrend, like this is a bull market, guys. Like we are in an uptrend here, right? Like even if we came down here, like you could still put those higher lows in and continue a healthy uptrend on the long in the long term. And this is what we call the hot dog formation here, right? Like this is, we're just going to try to finish that mustard off into all-time highs. But, yeah, like this would technically be a bullish case, right? Now I can give you more of a local bullish case, where it doesn't call for a dump down to 80K. But again, I will say this, like higher time frames, when I look at these higher time frames, guys, like daily money flow crossovers into the red typically give us those continuations down. And our money flow, unless we're going to get a fake out like we did back here, right? And again, you can't really bet against the TA. Is it possible to get the fake out? Yes, but I wouldn't really be trading based off of that. So if that money flow crosses into the red, it would call for lower highs and lower lows back to the downside. But again, zoom out a little bit, that is a bullish scenario. It's just shorter term bearish, right? Technically even right from the full swing low to the swing high, right, which technically would not be the 108K high, rather the 110-ish K high here. Even this technically, from a structure perspective, a golden pocket Fibonacci perspective, like that's not even that bad, right? Like that's still just high, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, right? Like that still would give you a possibility of maintaining bullish market structure. Now, if you pull down to that 786, that's where things get a little bit dicey, right? Because now you're at 43% correction. That's not common in a bull market. But if that's accompanied by a black swan event, right? Let's not forget coming back into March of 2020, let's not forget, right? Let's not forget, pull your fib from the low to the high here, right? We get that on a higher time frame. You come down and mess around with that 786 wick below it, and you just wind up holding it and yoinking off into all-time highs again. Now, this was a different part of the cycle, obviously. But, it's just very hard to call here, guys, right? Like, there's never going to be one thing that you can look at and be like, this is it, right? You could put a high probability on a high chance of a bounce. But, the scenarios that we could paint out here are infinite, right? They're absolutely infinite. Nobody knew, right, that in this cycle we were going to get some kind of flash crash before going down to that 786 and then ripping off into the bull market, right? Nobody knew. I'm sure, a lot of people thought this was the top, right? And then a lot of people thought this was the top. A lot of people thought this was the top. The same panic was in the market every time we pulled back, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, what happened? Bitcoin tops in. Oh my God, the top's in. And then this is where you get the bears coming in being like, you guys are morons if you think this is going back up. And then it comes back up, right? Now the bulls are like, the bears are idiots. And then we come back down and the bears are like, the bulls are idiots, right? Like, it's really crazy, right? Like, it's just nonsensical. And that's why I always just stick to the charts. But, I would say, right now, the most bearish scenario, right? Like the least painful bullish scenario is going to be something, or I'm sorry, like the semi-painful bullish scenario is get the pull back down to 80K. Maybe you wick down to the 786, and then we would hope that you could hold that and yoink off into all-time highs. That's kind of the next thing that I'm looking at. Hopefully, we don't have to entertain coming down and messing with these levels. I really don't want to mess around with this because, again, even if you lose that golden pocket, guys, right? Like, let's say you come down, you lose that golden pocket. Like, even this drop is horrid for people, right? Like, not everybody was buying the bottom of the bear market. So, something we have to keep in mind. But, obviously we do have some kind of local bullish scenario as well. Like, let's say, hey, Frankie, I don't want to go back down to, 82K. Is there a chance that we don't go down there? I would have to argue, right? The only argument I can make for that is that, you either hold. I mean, there's a bunch of scenarios, right? But again, like, it's an if this, then that statement. Maybe we come down here, we hit the golden pocket, and we get the move off into new all-time highs, right? That's a possibility, but based off money flow, the probabilities would be lower that that's the case, right? Based off money flow, it would be much more likely to put in a lower high, continue down, put in a lower high, continue down, right? Especially with those bearish divergences on the higher time frames. The more probable scenario, not the guaranteed scenario, but, as of the way the charts look right now, the more probable scenario would be for a potential continuation down. But, technically, I hope maybe we could get, a shot off these golden pocket 786 retracements. But again, money flow would not really be putting those odds in your favor, right? But, under that, maybe we get a move down to the value area low, sweep some liquidity, and then we yoink off into all-time highs. Again, depending on when we get down there, are the higher time frames looking like that? No. The higher time frames look like maybe we just get a lower time frame bounce, and then we put in a lower high and continue down, right? There's a lot of things on the higher time frames that are pointing to these lower levels. But again, if we're going to be looking for the longs in the Discord, right? So like if we come down to those local levels and we get the higher low and we're going to be holding on to those trades, hopefully, obviously in terms of a, day trade or scalp position first. But then if we just yoink off into all-time highs for some reason, then we would just go ahead and look at that, right? And like we would potentially hold a portion of that position to continue to pay us out. So, right now, the way I'm playing the charts is we're within this range. There's no reason to really pay attention to these lower levels unless we're talking about the higher time frame situation. In that case, that's your next key level of support. But as of right now, we're just going to see if we can work our way down to those local fib levels, see what happens down there. We can maybe find some scalp trades. Find some scalp positions on those positions down here, or the fib retracements down here. If we lose that, coming down to the value area low. And then once we start losing this, that's where things become a bit dangerous based off what we covered in the beginning of the stream with the low volume gaps and the liquidity sitting down below. So there we go. Let's see. Shout out to the Godfather said, it's bear market signs, guys. No alt season. And I mean, if you back test it, shout out to the Godfather. Show him some respect in the chat, guys. If we look at it, right, like, I mean, let's look at this together. Bearish divergence on the weekly. Right? That was the top to the downside, right? But this bearish divergence on the weekly was a top, but not the top, right? So we do have a weekly bear div printing on Bitcoin here, right? Higher highs, lower highs. Looks a little bit more like this one, in my opinion, than it does this one. So, but again, that weekly bear div did give us a pretty big drop to the downside. Everybody thought this was the bear market until we were back up here, right? So, it's a very volatile market and very volatile emotion-wise as well, right? Like if we were up here saying, hey guys, bearish divergence, right? It's somewhat local. Money flow still looks healthy. It might not be the top of the bull market. When we get down here, people are like, what the heck? You said it wasn't the top. Obviously, we're in a bear market, idiot. And then we come back up and people are like, I never said that. It's a bull market. I told you it was a bull market, right? But again, it does look more, the divergence that we're seeing right now looks more like this, which again, did give us a big push to the downside, which could be that drop that we need. Down to, I don't know, 50% brings you back down to 50K, which, that would be something, that would be more of like a weird situation, right? But it's not, impossible. But weekly bearish divergence, top comes in, right? We looked at this the other day, right? These high time frame bear divs that we're starting to see on the charts, like, actually, I guess we didn't really have it here. Bada boom. Yeah, you didn't really have it here either. But yeah, we also have a monthly bear div, which was also back in the previous cycle. Higher highs, lower highs, bear market, higher highs, somewhat. This is not the strongest divergence, right? Like this is almost exaggerated with a equal highs with higher highs on our price action. So is it a bear div? Yes. But again, right, like does it mean the top is in? It's really, really hard to call at this point, right? I do think we're further along in the cycle than people realize we are, right? I think a lot of people think like the bull market just started. I don't think that at all, right? I do think there's many gains to be had, especially in altcoins at some point if we ever get an alt season. But as far as Bitcoin goes, guys, like if Bitcoin goes to $200,000, right? It's like a 2x, right? It's like not that big of a deal. Not really what people come to crypto for. So just to like put that into perspective, and my targets, I have targets below 200K, right? We do have a key Fibonacci level at 209K, but we have a lot of other targets before that that could wind up being strong resistance. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, let's see. If the top is in, this is the shortest bull market ever. Yeah, shout out to King Koopa. Shout out to you, bro. That's kind of part of the reason why I don't really fall in that camp, right? This is not typically the part of the cycle where we see the actual all-time high be put in before a big bear market, right? Like, it's just not what we see. Does that mean it's impossible? No. But it's just, I still fall, ETH didn't make an all-time high, right? Like, am I just going to wait for ETH to hit an all-time high before I call a bear market? No. Or before I call a top? No, right? Maybe ETH doesn't make an all-time high, but it would be extremely unlikely in my opinion, right? I do just think we need to get that liquidity that's all in the meme coins eventually to flow back into the utility tokens. And then once ETH rips, right, that's probably where your real alt season's going to start and everything's going to start going nuts. Hopefully we wind up seeing that, right? Historically, it would be very unlikely not to see that. But remember, guys, like a lot of people will tell you just because it happened it hasn't happened historically. A lot of people will be like, we have to. It's impossible, right? I'm not one of those people, right? Because again, nobody thought that we were going to get a massive dump to the downside here during this black swan, right? You can't predict that. A lot of this stuff is very unpredictable, right? So anything can happen, and we are prepared for every single situation. That's why I always give you guys the bullish case, the bearish case, and then which way I'm leaning and how I'm playing it, right? I've been in this market for years. I've made a bunch of money, and it's really all I can do. I can't just come up here and guarantee you that something's going to happen because I know some magical thing on the charts. Sure, am I good at TA? A lot of people do think so, right? Can I trade? Yes, absolutely. But it doesn't mean that we could just call every single move exactly. There's no one on earth that can do that. And anyone telling you that they can do that, run far away from them because they're going to get you wrecked like a lot of influencers do, right? A lot of these like TikTok people too. I see them on my TikTok all the time. They say some crazy stuff. So just be careful out there. Be careful out there. You're never going to get that on this channel. You're going to get raw information. You're going to get, a lot of people say, well, you just say it could go up or down. And the reality of the matter is, that's the fact, right? And for us personally, right, like, and again, there are things that can call for major moves, right? When we were looking for the move from breaking above 30K, our TA told us, right, break above that 30K high, we could see that run to 48 to 50K to fill our major volume profile. I'm not going to pull it up, right? So we can make these, really high probability calls, right? Really high probability calls. But at the end of the day, guys, right, like this one played out. There was also a chance that we rejected there and had a massive correction, right? So it's all about stacking the odds in your favor. You're never going to be able to find a person or an indicator or something like that that's going to call it 100%. This market is so much more complex than that, and crazy things can happen, guys. We can get some black swan event, yoink on down to 45K and then get a giant V-shaped recovery and rip off into the crazier all-time highs than anyone anticipated, right? Anything can happen, but the way I play it is level to level, right? So we lose this range. We know we have the liquidity sitting down below. Maybe that causes the flash crash down to 80K where we can hold that golden pocket and get a rip off into all-time highs. And again, the higher time frame money flow is calling for that. The 2-day bearish divergence, the higher daily time frame bearish divergences are calling for that, but it doesn't mean that the bear market's over in my own personal opinion. So you guys know where I stand on that. We talk about this all the time. So yeah, and guys, once that changes, right? Once that changes, I will be the first person to let you know when I start to really get worried about the market. Let's see. Shout out to Jesse said, are you enjoying this content? Please be kind. Hit that dang like button, 1,000 likes for giveaways in Friday's live stream. Otherwise, Phoebe will be mad. Shout out to Phoebe. She's already getting kind of pissed back here. She's starting to like grunt and like drag her hoof on the floor. She keeps trying to ram the desk. But let's see. Shout out to Nico said, I have a massive correction when I watch Frankie. Shout out to Nico. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's see. Shout out to John Doe says, and that is dough like pizza dough, guys, not dough, D-O-E. The largest liquidation in crypto history could be argued to be the Black Swan event. The percentage just don't look as bad. The percentages just don't look as bad because the market cap is obviously higher. John Doe, that is an absolutely a good point. Obviously, biggest liquidation event in history, right, or Bitcoin's history, 100%, right? Like a lot of people said that about this, right? A lot of people said that about this. So yeah, like, that could be a bullish case as well, right? And that would be the case, right, where we hold these local higher lows, right? If we come down to this fib zone, right, hold the higher low and get the move up, then that, massive liquidation event would have marked the bottom, right? We would go off into all-time highs. And that's a scenario that we will be potentially playing if we get those confirmations to enter the trade, right? And even if the confirmations aren't that strong, we might catch a little scalp here, and then maybe that winner runs. But yeah, no, I actually like that you said that, because that is definitely possible, right? But yeah, the way money flow, and again, at that point, though, here's the thing. At that point, you're praying that your money flow fakes out into the green, right? Which, again, has it happened before? Absolutely. Especially in a bull market, you could argue that it's somewhat likely, right? But can't really trade based off of that, right? I can't make decisions based off that. But if we hold that higher low, we would hope that that money flow comes back into the green on the daily, and then maybe we're in a situation like we were back here, right, where you get the jump to the downside, money flow comes back into the green, and we're off into massive new all-time highs. Definitely a plausible scenario. But there you go, guys. That's pretty much what I'm looking at. If you're looking for the local analysis, you're trying to figure out what Bitcoin's going to do today or tomorrow, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. We go over all the local TA. But, again, really our biggest mission here would be to get above that PLC, flip it to support, and then push off into the value area high. In which case, technically not even really out of the woods at that point either. We really got to flip really this value area high at about 103K to support. Once we get above 103K, that could be the doorway to come attack these highs. Because we also have a lot of liquidity sitting above. And that's kind of why I'm sitting on my hands, right? Hold the short, come down to the value area low, boom, we make some extra money. If we yoink to the upside, stop out for profit, make a bunch of money, and then we just reassess the situation, right? And if we come up and start taking all the liquidity above, could push us into those all-time highs. We're in a really weird spot in the market, guys. It's been a while since I've said that. We're kind of in an interesting spot here because market cipher B on the higher time frames is totally saying down, right? Not instantly down, right? Could get the turbulence, right? But it would say lower highs, lower lows. But it's hard. It's really hard to say. We'd have to get all those indicators to fake out, which, again, the reason it's hard is because that's not impossible to see. Let's see. Shout out to Dawn said, how often do these slow times happen? I assume you mean slow times as in like Bitcoin just going sideways. I mean, crypto or just the price ranges about 80% of the time, right? Depending on what time, and regardless of what time frame you're looking at, right? Like you range a lot and then you impulse and then you consolidate and range and then you impulse and hopefully don't impulse down. But then you range and then you impulse, right? So price really ranges about 80% of the time, which is why we trade the volume profiles the way we do. Gives you a ton of trade opportunities. It's below the POC. Yes, it is below the POC. Unless we get like a quick recovery here and get back above it, as you guys know, right? The problem with the POC, not the problem, but the POC is the strongest magnet within the profile, right? You have the low, the high, and the POC. The POC is the strongest magnet, right? So sometimes you go below, you go above, you come back below, above, you kind of bing bong around. And, it does kind of cling to that POC very often. This is a perfect example of that happening. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. But either way, we have a plan for either situation. If we come up, we look for the shorts. And if we come down, short pays us out, and we look for the longs. All right, let's see. Shout out to John said, I thought it was very telling that Jerome Powell essentially said no when asked if the Fed would wait for inflation to reach its target percentage before cutting rates. He knows he has to do it sooner. Yeah, shout out to John. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, the monetary policy is what moves the markets, right? It moves the stock market, and from what we know so far, the stock market is what moves Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's just tied to the traditional finance. That's not really an argument. It's just the fact. Yes, the 4-year cycle is important. Yes, the supply shock, all that stuff is real. But at the end of the day, if the stock market plummets, chances are that Bitcoin is going to follow. And if we actually take a look at the stock market here, more importantly, I mean, you could look at the stock market just in general. You can look at the S&P. That's typically what I like to look at. Or even if you just look at NVIDIA, guys, because NVIDIA is kind of like the Bitcoin of stocks, right? It's like the biggest, it's the thing that drives the stock market for the most part, right? So, you see NVIDIA starting to look dumpy. That could be a little bit worrisome for Bitcoin. And it is hard to look at these higher time frames with the gaps. But, we'll see. Everybody was really scared here. We were looking at the Golden Pocket 786 retracement. Everyone was super scared about the stock market. And then we get the bounce back up to the value area high. So it's like everyone's like narratives, tariffs. I mean, this wasn't the tariffs, but it's like tariffs, all these news, all this, oh my God, this, that. And at the end of the day, guys, like we're just looking at the Golden Pocket 786. People will be like, well, if this news comes out, we might bounce here. And it's like, well, you don't know what the news is going to do, right? We know that we have the 786 sitting here. And what happens? You put the low in, you get back into your volume profile, you push back up to the high. It's the simplest way to look at the market. So, I would argue that, this is still our key level of resistance, right? And actually, I'm going to move this down a little bit. This 786 is going to be key. And this is on the S&P at about 602. If we can get out of here, like really just break out of the 786, break out of the value area high, that's really what we need. We got to get above that 786 because chances are, guys, if like the stock market, right, whether a black swan event or, something bad news comes out and the stock market plummets, I would be beside myself if Bitcoin did not follow, right? Not only because stock market really moves Bitcoin, but also, there's bearish signs on Bitcoin's chart too. So we'll see what happens. We got our plans set here. We're just planning the trade and trading the plans here. Brett said, do you think 91K first, then 103K feels like 91K? Yeah, I mean, again, very hard to say here. I'm short, right? So I hope 91K first. Money flow, and again, like the lower time frame, money flow technically 4 hours in the red, right? 8 hour, come on, money flow crossing over into the red on the 8 hour as well. So, market cipher technically, although money flow has been a little bit chopped up, money flow would be calling for the move to 91K first. But again, right, doesn't mean instant drop to 90. We might come sweep some highs, and then we're like, oh my God, we're going to 93K, and then we go sideways again. And it's really, and then eventually in hindsight, it's like, oh, we did go to 91K first, but oftentimes it's very confusing. So yeah, for me personally, POC 97,390 is the biggest key level of support and resistance, right? Break below it, that's probably going to open the door down. Get above it, that's what opens the door to the upside. And don't forget those local fib levels that we looked at in the beginning of the stream. All right, so with all that being said, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum real quick because, oh, no, we already did look at Ethereum. Yeah, we don't have to look at this. We already looked at this. Pretty boring, right? Just same thing, right? Get the move up, key level of resistance, $29.28 to $3,000. Break above that value area low. Last line of defense to the upside is going to be the 3150, 786. Get above that. We're looking for higher highs. Looking to push through that range to the POC and the value area high. But again, market cipher B would be pointing more towards the downside. That money flow is clearly coming to the downside. Daily money flow clearly in the red. 3-day money flow back in the red. 4-day money flow still in the red. 5-day, 6-day coming out, right? 6-day money flow coming out, 6-day in the red. Weekly money flow on its way out, right? So it's not the most bullish sign. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But scrub back. We already looked at Ethereum. I covered all the local TI on that. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on here. Let's see. 786 is like my high school crush. She got me rejected every time. Shout out to Nirvana. Yeah. The 786 is yeah. I hate red. Shout out to Satoshi Glagamoto. You don't want to piss off Satoshi Glagamoto, guys. Yes, I don't like red either, guys, unfortunately, unless we're making money on that red in the short position, which we are. Kind of just been hovering around the same profit here. But let's see. Shout out to Abdo says, bro, forgot to write that on the super chat. Are we, please? I was going to say, usually that means someone like messed up the super chat. I'm glad I saw that. But yeah, I'm going to take a look at some other, shout out to Mr. 100 said, I'm sad. Well, if you guys hit the like button, it'll make everybody more happy. And also does, if you actually study this, guys, it does have a strong effect on price. If you smash the like button, Bitcoin will pump. Let's see. I like glue. Shout out to CJ. Let's go. Just don't eat it. Well, I guess, maybe don't smell it either. But anyway, let's see. Yeah, I know. Shout out to Hack. I mean, like I said, I was going to do a little bit of a shorter live stream today here, guys, because I can look at the altcoins. But to be honest, guys, like it all kind of looks the same. And again, like there's nothing really to look at here on Cardano, right? Like we were here, and I think this is something that a lot of people have to learn in the market, right? Like it's not always exciting, right? Like sometimes you just go sideways, and as far as content goes, it's really hard to make super valuable content based off when it's going sideways, right? Like yesterday was what? The 4th at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Where are we at? Right, we were sitting right there. We are literally sitting in the same spot. And, key levels above and below remain exactly the same, right? Key level to the upside is going to be this purple box between 91 and 95 cents. And the key levels down below is your value area beneath you Value area high at 66 cents, 60 cent POC. Value area low at 50 cents, right? So, just the same kind of thing. We're in the middle of the range. There's really nothing for me to do here. I only look for trades, for the most part, at the value area low, and we're kind of just in between ranges here, right? So, like, if we come down, key levels of support, right? Even if we pull our Fibonacci retracements from the low to the high, right? You have a golden pocket confluent with your POC. But, again, right, it's like not until we come down into this range that I would be willing to, look for new positions. And if we rip to the upside, we're just looking at these key levels of resistance. They all remain the same. And they are pretty much, all of them are in a very similar situation, right? It's just like almost all of them are structurally in the same exact situation. A lot of these have been hit very, very hard. Obviously, TIA getting a massive drop through this low volume gap, hard bounce, and now we're kind of just going sideways once again. But, a lot of this stuff is, it's all in the same situation. And, after a big drop to the downside, like this big liquidation run that we had, after seeing that, right, like you kind of have to let price settle down, right? Like there's not a ton of, there's not a ton that we could take away from looking at these like just massive candles to the downside, right? We need a price to kind of consolidate. It's the same thing with the moves to the upside, even on Bitcoin, right? Like when we get these massive rips up, our goal is to find the trades inside the range, right? Or on the deviations above or below. And then when price impulses, right? If we were to get a massive drop to the downside, right? Like obviously we'd have to check in on price and see what's going on. But at the end of the day, it takes some time for Bitcoin to either react or build out some structure that we can actually make sense of what's going on, right? So right now I would argue, we got the big drop to the downside and everything's kind of just settling down, right? We don't have a clean range formed. Maybe Bitcoin kind of comes up and we kind of start a new little mini range here. At that point, we can then find some really nice day trades within the volume profile. But as of right now, all we can really look at are the higher time frames until we wind up getting some more price action to develop, right? It's that simple. And at the end of the day, there's really no trades for me other than the scalp long that I got stopped out of to take in the middle of a range, right? Even in the Discord, it gets kind of boring, right? Because like sometimes it's on fire, right? We have a local range that we're forming. Like as you guys know, we have this local range above. And like at that point, there's tons of trade setups, right? You're in a lower time frame range. It's like longs at the lows, shorts at the highs. We're bing, bong, bing, bong, bing, bong, smashing the trades. But right now, like this is not tradable price action. And sometimes knowing when to sit out of trades is as important as knowing when to get into them, right? Like this is not really very tradable price action, right? You can look for the little micro scalps. But again, right, like it took that low probability trade, got stopped out, right? So like I'd rather just wait for the higher time frame or the more just significant structure to form, right? If we started to create a range like this, we could pull a range just like we did here, and then we could find more more trades, right? But in this slow grind to the downside, it's like really hard to find those trades, right? But that's why when we do have the opportunity to take the trades, we can at least enjoy the gains as we push to the downside. We can enjoy those gains as price pushes down and there's no structure being built. But yeah, like right now, it's just not really a very like nice trading environment, to be honest. Like even like right here, like we just grind to the downside, I remember this, right? Like it's just not that nice of trading. You kind of just have to sit and let things work itself out until you get a more identifiable trading range. Let's see. Shout out to Kevin, said some YouTubers say that we usually have to retest the drop to the downside. Is that true? Are you talking about like where it wicks, it sticks kind of thing? I think you might be talking about that, right? Where you have like the massive wicks to the downside. A lot of people say you have to fill the wick before you continue on. That's hard to say, right? Sometimes you do. I don't know what the hit rate on that is. It does happen more often. It does. I want to say more often than not because I haven't really studied it. But it does happen a lot of the time. You do get the drop to the downside before you push back up to fill the wick. But again, oftentimes the way I trade these big wicks is I'm looking for SFPs, right? So I'm looking to sweep liquidity and then yoink on out, right? Like so, if I were looking at this as a swing failure pattern, which was one of the confirmations that we were looking for when we took this long position in the premium Discord. If you guys have not seen that video, go check it out after this live stream. Go check that out. I forget the name of I think it was like how I made X amount of money in X minutes or whatever. Go check that video out because I break down the trade. But long story short, one of the confirmations we were looking at was this liquidity sweep, right? And once we got that liquidity sweep, you can expect a potential yoink off, right? Like you're looking to sweep the liquidity and then smash off into higher prices, right? So at that point, I'm not really looking to fill this wick, right? I'm looking to actually, because what does this show, right? It shows that you liquidated the longs, and then, when you get that SFP, you're looking for that quick reaction to the upside, candle closure above the wick, and then you look for the big move up. So it's hard for me to say, like, where it wicks, it sticks. There's definitely something to that, but I will just say this. the way I trade SFPs, it's like I would go directly against that most of the time. So, it's hard to say. But yeah. So I that probably didn't really help you out much, but hopefully it gave you some kind of insight. Let's see. Mrs. Candles knows about Frankie's Wick. Shout out to Texas Twister. Good Lord. Walked right into that one. I got to pre-read the chat sometimes. But yeah, shout out to Mrs. Candles. Well, she does typically do the candle buying for our life. So she does actually pick up the candles. So she does know about all of my wicks. Shout out to Texas Twister. Let's see. Shout out to I My Hero. As soon as I said that, I knew somebody was going to say that. I should not have said a yoink off. But anyway, I should say yoink on to off higher prices. Let's see. Shout out to John Doe said, given the fears of a recession are already rising, I think the Fed acts early to soften the blow and cuts rates to keep things moving in the right direction and head off the worst case scenario. Yeah, shout out to John. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, right? Like they started to cut rates and then they paused them, right? But this a lot of people think like once they cut rates, like that's where price action gets really exciting. It takes a significant amount of time for the Fed cutting rates to take effect in the economy, right? Like it takes time to circulate, and it takes a little bit of time before we actually see that stuff play out. So definitely going to be it's definitely a possibility there. Shout out to Aziz says, how long do high time frame bearish divergences take effect in the 2-day, 3-day, and weekly? Could we significantly pump? Then they take effect later on. Yeah, shout out to Aziz. Yeah, it does oftentimes take a good amount of time, right? It's impossible to put like an actual, at the end of the day, sometimes you can print them and then you just, instant red candle. It's really, really hard. But at the end of the day, right, like these higher time frames, could we get a pushback to the upside? Yes, right? Like you could potentially, and at this point, right, let's pull some fibs here. Right? Like at this point, like even if you got to push back to the upside, maybe you reject this again and then you come back down. How long that would take to get up here is anybody's guess, right? It depends on how long we go sideways for. So it's really hard to put a time on it. But I would say, daily money flow is now, there it is in all of its glory. Daily money flow is now crossed over into the red, guys. And again, right, money flow indicates the overall trend, so you have to be careful, right? This does not mean that we are, just going to nuke down to zero instantly, right? Honestly, if this VWAP continues up, there might be a better chance of getting some kind of a correction back to the upside before that VWAP rolls back over and then money flow comes deeper into the red, and then we finally get the bigger drop down. So this is something a lot of people get confused about. Sometimes people who don't watch, people who are new to the stream will come in and be like, what happened? You said money flow was coming out and price went up. And it's like, yeah, of course, right? Like that's not how really it works, right? Money flow comes out, but it indicates the overall trend, right? And overall trends have, in this case, a high, a low, a potential lower high, and a lower low, right? Just for a raw example, random example. So, you have to anticipate the short-term push up before the continuation of the trend, right? It's not an instant signal. And, if we wind up printing some, green dots here, maybe on the, maybe you get the 10-hour, the 8-hour green dots, right? Maybe those give us the push to the upside before we're putting in a lower high and continuing down. Again, even the 2-day VWAP, this is actually looking nice and rounded here. So, maybe, again, maybe that money flow fakes out if we can get some of these higher time frame green dots. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no saying that these didn't already play out, right? Like maybe you get the bear div, it gives you the, let's call it a 15% drop to the downside, and then maybe that's all it gives you, right? It's really, really hard to say, and that's why we kind of do our top-down analysis, right? If this 2-day VWAP starts looking to print a green dot, and then our 10-hour money flow, our 8-hour money flow is starting to cross back over into the green, you could kind of see the rolling effect of those time frames, right? Like I was saying, 12-hour money flow crosses over into the red. That's probably going to leak into the daily. And right here we are confirming that daily red dot, confirming that daily candle, and we get that money flow crossover into the red. So chances are, if we're going to see that daily money flow fake back out into the green, then we're probably going to see the 8-hour coming to the green first. We're probably going to see the 4-hour and 5-hour coming to the green first, right? We could kind of get those early signals on the lower time frames, and then we'd let the longer time frames take some time to play out. Let's see. Shout out to Kembro. Says was helping my friend with a PC setup. Shout out to Kembro. Let's get it, baby. Let's see. Yo. Shout out to Chat Master said breaking. Trump makes Melania wash his Giddy Undies equals Bitcoin pump. Send it to $1 million, baby. Let's go. Shout out to Edward. Said, Frankie, hope you're having a great day. Do you have any recommendations for free heat maps, please? Shout out to Edward Torres. I use Hotblock. I use High-Block. Obviously, it's not free. And that's not what you asked, so I'll give you a free one. CoinGlass. Again, I've heard, right? I have not experienced this myself, but I have heard that CoinGlass is not as accurate, right? I don't really know. It's free though, right? And when High-Block was having issues, I did look at the CoinGlass heat maps. I couldn't use High-Block. Now I'm back on High-Block. It's fixed. I don't even know what the problem wound up being, but it's back. But yeah, CoinGlass has very, very similar liquidation heat maps. So yeah, if I pull this up really quickly, bada boom, right? So yeah, CoinGlass has a very, very similar heat map. But again, I've just heard from other people that they don't like it as much as other things like High-Block. But again, I mean, if you only have, why not try this for free, right? Like there's zero barrier to entry. So, but yeah, you could pull all your different time frames up. Like, okay, we have a lot of liquidity sitting up here. What is this? This is Bitcoin. And this is sitting at about 106K, right? So that makes sense. So yeah, you can check out CoinGlass. This is 100% free, and they have a ton of other tools, right? They don't just have, they have a ton of other stuff, right? So yeah, you can come check them out. But yeah, that's 100% free. Hopefully that helps you out. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Kevin Sherwood said, remember to say swap to symbol from pairs on CoinGlass. Yes. When you use this, you're going to want to switch over to symbol. And I believe this will aggregate. Yeah, this will aggregate, I think. It aggregates all the exchanges, right? Because if you do the pair, this is only showing you Binance, BTC, USDT. You want to see them aggregated, or I typically just like to see them all aggregated. So yeah. Shout out to Gucci. Says, we need to take liquidity on 75 to 85K. Then bull run will start. Trust me. Yeah, shout out to Gucci. That's actually what we were looking at in the beginning of the stream. A ton of liquidity sitting below even just 88K, running all the way down to about 80K. And, down to 75K as well, where we have that 786. Which is crazy, right? There's like so many things that point in the same exact direction, right? It's like, and again, this is what we like to do and find confluence on the charts for high probability situations, right? Not only do we have liquidity sitting below, 85, basically between 85 or 88 and 80K, right? Like, so not only is there a ton of liquidity all below here running down to about $80,000, right? But also, if we're going to come down there and flush and get a bounce, you also have your macro golden pocket in there, right? And if we have liquidity down at 75K, what else do we have down towards 75K? We have our 786, right? So it all kind of lines up, right? So there's your golden pocket sitting right in the liquidity. We lose that. 786 sits at about 75.7. So yeah, like, if we're just looking, even if you're not paying attention to liquidity and you're just looking like, hey, if we get a big dump to the downside, where would I be looking for a higher low and a continuation up? Is fib retracement might be the area to look for, right? So whether the liquidity's down there or not, right? Like, it's still a plausible situation. So pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, I would agree. Let's see. Aren't all the higher time frames like the 3-day and higher are totally off because of the big drop? That's actually a good point. Potentially, right? Obviously, the higher time frames do take a little bit of time to develop, right? Like if you get a big drop to the downside, that 2-day money flow is not going to instantly react. So yeah, but again, that's why we use the lower time frames to kind of front run those signals, right? Again, if we see this, 10-hour money flow rip right back into a huge green money flow wave, right? Chances are is like, hey, maybe the daily winds up, slowly reacting to that as well. But again, you're going to see it on the lower time frames first. Absolutely. Trigger wave on the 4-hour for ETH. Let's see. Are we going to get a little... I was going to say this is not what I would classify as a trigger wave, but that's the daily. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. I wouldn't really classify it as a trigger wave. I mean, you do have an anchor, right? This could be considered somewhat of a trigger, right? You could always just draw that shape of that magical thing that we don't like to say on YouTube because I don't know if they like it. Right, but if you just draw your thing, there's your handle, there's your trigger, right? Or I guess it would be like that. There's your trigger, and then usually you get those. But that's not really printing right now. That's been confirmed. So if we were going to see a big reaction off that, in my opinion, probably would have already happened. But you do have your VWAP coming back up, which is pretty nice to see, if I'm being honest. Let's see here. Why is this mouse all sketched out right now? Yeah, I mean, listen, the argument for ETH to get a move up, in my opinion, would really be looking at I just want to see the 45-minute, not the 45-minute. It's really this 80-minute, right? 80-minute money flow crossover into the green. Like, here's your bullish case for ETH, right? Maybe, just maybe, let's try to make a case here for ETH. Let me, oh my God, my sensitivity just moved. There we go. So yeah, if I were to make an argument for ETH to get a pump here, again, remember, money flow in the red here. You have your daily green dot. You have your 80-minute money flow crossing over into the green. This could be your argument for a move to the upside on Ethereum, right? Even if I pull this kind of wonked out range. Excuse me. Let's pull this fib. Yeah, I didn't really get the golden pocket retracement, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, right, 90-minute money flow crossover, 80 and 90-minute money flow crossovers into the green would be the Market Cipher B116 strategy, which could call for a move to the upside on Ethereum right here, right? You have the green dot printing. You're getting the 80-minute money flow crossover. So maybe we'll mark that out. Maybe that is going to be the sign here to get some kind of a pump up for Ethereum. Now, doesn't mean we're going off into all-time highs. Not at this point, right? Again, money flow is going to be the overall decider of the trend, which is right now pointing to the downside. But could this mean that we could get a little, continuation to the upside here in the medium term, potentially up to our next targets between $2,930 and $3,000. Maybe get above here, look to go into the 786, and then we'll reassess the situation once we get up there. But yeah, that money flow crossover, as long as this stays in the green, that would give you the anticipation of the continuation of that trend to the upside. So yeah, I mean, you have that Market Cipher B116 strategy at play potentially right now. So there's your argument for that, and those are the key levels I'd be looking at to the upside. And as long as you stay above this value area high at 26.94, that could be in the cards for ETH. But again, it wouldn't really necessarily mean bull run at this moment, but could be that retracement where, again, overall, we would be anticipating potential lower highs before lower lows. So again, golden pocket 786 would be those two major areas I would be looking at for that. So there we go. Let's see. Astapasta Rob, have a good night, bro. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Let's see. Bick says he doesn't want to say it's going to go down. I don't know. If I haven't said it's going to go down this whole stream, I don't know what'll get that across. But yeah, it's just really hard to say, right? Because, again, a lot of people just want the yes or no answer, up or down. That's just not how price works, right? Because, again, people say, are we going up or are we going down, Frankie? Please tell me, right? That is such a loaded question. Like, in the next 5 minutes, in the next day, right? In the next 10 years, right? If someone says, are we going up or down? I'm going to say we're going up, right? Because over time, eventually, Bitcoin's going to go up and to the right. But on the 5 minute, we might be looking for a pullback, right? So right now, my general thought process here would be, if anything, maybe we can get a little. What is up with this mouse? Are we going to break this mouse live on stream? We might have to do it, guys. But yeah, what would be the thought process here would be like, well, hey, based off the daily 80-minute, 90-minute, maybe we get a pullback up, but that daily money flow would be looking for a lower high on the golden pocket or the 786 potentially. This would be the highest probability area to put that lower high in at. And I would definitely be careful on these zones, right? So, if we do get a move up, something like this would be what I would anticipate. All right, let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Can we get some XRP? Yeah, let's take a look here. Take a look at XRP. Again, kind of in the same situation. Oh, hey, my mother's in the chat, guys. Shout out to my mom. Said dinner's ready. Oh, God, Ma, I wish dinner. Oh, God, man. Now I'm extra hungry. Now I'm craving authentic Italian food. Shout out to my mother who actually created the recipe for the sauce, guys. Show my mom some love in chat. Let's go. Mama Candle's in the chat. Are we going up on the 9 hour and 36 minute chart, Frankie? Shout out to Tony Roaz. Yes, 9 hour and 36 minute time frame is the only bullish time frame on Bitcoin right now. Let's go. Let's see. Hi, Mom. Shout out to Jay Violet. Let's go. Love you, Mama. Yo, let's get it. Show some love to Mama Candles in the chat. Meatballs. Shout out to my mom. Let's go. Oh, God, Ma. I miss the meatballs. Come cook us some meatballs, Mom. Maybe we'll do a, next time I go visit, we're going to have to do a live stream where we cook meatballs with Mama Candles. And maybe we'll drink some wine. Let's see. I see her. I'm on the way. Shout out to Mark Dutch. I made pesto pasta yesterday. Shout out to Gen Z. Let's get it. Yo, showing Mama Candles some love. I love it. I love it, guys. Drop those meatballs in the chat if you want to show love to Mama Candles. But that would be awesome. Shout out to Dawn. Yeah, maybe we will do that. We'll have to start a second channel for like non-crypto related content because we do want to start doing some non-crypto, not non-crypto stuff, but like, you know, stuff that's like separate than crypto. Like probably going to want to run some like GTA 6 streams. You know, because they're probably going to have some crypto aspects of that game as well. But I just don't want to run it on this channel. I want to keep this channel for absolutely, you know, absolute just, you know, crypto sauce, chart sauce, trading sauce. And then we'll maybe make a second channel where we can run some more fun stuff like GTA 6 streams. Maybe some, you know, cool vlog type stuff. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Maybe some cooking streams with Mama Candles. Let's see. Future Prophet said rap music sucks. Shout out to Future Prophet just putting out those, just throwing it out there, seeing if anybody bites. Let's go. But let's see. Let's see. Totally, I think that'd be great. Shout out to Dawn. Yo, my mom said, hey, everybody, let's go. Oh, my mom's drinking that Aztecian Cactus moss water. She's getting hype. Fib sauce. Yeah, shout out to All Set. Let's get it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much what we're looking at. We'll see, you know, again, on XRP, you know, we're pretty much just in the same spot, right? Yesterday, where were we? That was the 4th. 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We were sitting up here. We have our key levels of support. Golden Pocket couldn't help. We went for the 786. So your key level here is still the 786 at 233. Once you lose that, right, that's probably where we're going to be looking. Why is there like a dead spot on this? The heck is going on with this mouse, guys? Hopefully I don't wind up clicking something random here. But yeah, once we lose that 786, this is where I'd probably be looking for the loss of this level and then a push down into this bigger level, which is the value area low Golden Pocket. But other than that, we're just still within our range here. We got to wait for more price action to develop to kind of get our bearings here and get some structure developed. But same thing here, right? Like here's the bullish sign on the chart, which could cause short-term upside, guys. 80, and this is pretty much on everything. 80 and 90-minute money flow coming up with daily green dots printing. That is your argument for another retracement to the upside in the context of lower highs and lower lows incoming, right? But you have to anticipate the pushes up before you look for those lower highs. And it's the same thing on XRP. It's the same thing on Bitcoin. Same old thing, right? If you get that green dot on the daily, 80-minute, continuing to try to work its way up here. So that's really the only thing on the chart that I can see that would call for some kind of short-term push to the upside. But again, it's going to be in the context of potentially putting in lower highs until proven otherwise. But other than that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hold this short and see what happens. Like I said, profit locked in. If we get stopped out, we'll get stopped out in more profit. Still got about almost $2,000 unrealized here. So we'll see what happens. And, yeah, hopefully we get some exciting price action so we have something to talk about tomorrow. But with all that being said, guys, said your mouse issue could be an update for it. Shout out to Dab and Flow. Let's go. Shout out to you, bro. Let's see. It all followed the liquidity bet. Shout out to Future. Let's see. Shout out to Relentless. Said sick. Congrats, brother. Shout out to Relentless. Thank you, man. Yo, Dave Digital, or as Mark Dutch calls him, Dave Bicepal. Shout out to Dave Digital in the chat. What is going on, bro? Like number 485 or 82 is Dave Digital's, guys. Smash that like button on your way out, guys. We appreciate it so much. But like I said, we didn't even really do a short stream here. This is just a normal stream. We've been doing longer streams. We've been going for like 2 hours plus lately. But yeah, as price action's just still kind of sitting here, guys, I'm following the plan. We show the trades. We show the levels. And we'll see what happens. We get the rip to the upside. We'll get stopped out in profit. We get the move down. Short continues to pay us out. And we'll be looking for the next trades at the next key levels that you guys now know where they sit. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out till the end of the stream. And until tomorrow, pray for Bitcoin. Hopefully we get that short-term bounce. Watch that 80-minute and 90-minute money flow with the daily green dot incoming. We'll see if we can give us a push to the upside. And yeah, we'll see you here tomorrow. Same place, same time. 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. Shout out to the Mafia. Drop the like spot on your way out. Drop some candles in the chat on your way out. And I'll see you guys later. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, all they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's enemy. Masked up, whose man's high? Through it all, I stay the same. I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up from my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right. I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life. I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose, and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Just DJing, guys. I'm just DJing. I'm sorry. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to